Hello, today I'll be talking about the mental perception on students and whether I think if it is improving or not improving today in schools. My research question that I decided to base my process of inquiry and how I decided to go about my research was, to what extent is the amount of school counseling being provided to students in public schools affecting their mental health? I decided to base my research upon students in public schools because I myself attend a public school, and I could have chosen to like make my research in a broader spectrum to students from either elementary school or middle school or high school, but I decided to mainly focus on any age group between any school throughout the whole US basically, because most of my articles were based on US schools, and I decided for them to be public schools because I feel the systems between public schools and private schools are very different, and since I attend a public school, I know what it's like, and I wanted to go further into depth with this. I decided to choose this topic because, like I said prior before, I myself am a student in high school, and I believe that sometimes school can be very overwhelming. I know a lot of my friends have work jobs. I myself have an own job, but a lot of students in schools have really no one to provide for them. So I feel like balancing a social life, school life, and your work life is hard. And I feel like sometimes you really do have to have someone there to talk to, and sometimes we can't talk to people in our families, or we just don't feel comfortable enough to talk to. We don't have somebody that we can talk to, or we don't feel comfortable talking to. Some questions that led to my topic of inquiry were: is there sufficient amount of aid providing to schools that are suffering with a mental illness? What does mental health actually mean, and how does it affect you? And how does school affect the mental stability of students? So what mental health is simply how a person goes through the emotions of life and how it regards to their psychological and emotional well-being. So really it just means how you see life and how you feel inside, and how the things that you see make you feel. Mental health can cause someone to not want to associate with others. However, everyone functions differently. Examples are some people are very open and they can talk to whoever they want, and some people are very to themselves and don't really like talking to people. So I feel like those are the type of people that really need school counseling and someone to really help them express how they feel, because they don't really know how to express themselves. Mental illnesses can cause further issues like suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorders. And according to the topics I did my research on, those are mental illnesses. ADHD is one too. It's seen a lot throughout kids, and that requires meds, and sometimes it's not the best option to go to. Okay, defining terms are mental illness, mental health, and its severity. And what I mean by severity is how some people that suffer with mental illness go to the point where they have depression, and with depression comes suicidal thoughts, and with that, it's a really big issue that is being seen today. And I feel like there's not enough being done. There's organizations, but I feel like people that suffer from that don't really know how to go through it within life. Importance of school counseling, which is mainly my topic, and decreasing mental health issues. So what exactly is mental health, and how does it affect the way an individual is? So like I said before, mental health is how you are affected emotionally and how you feel inside and how you see life, how you feel every day. We have a morning routine, we have a daily routine, how we go through that. And how does it affect individuals? It affects us because some people that suffer from it aren't motivated to go to go out, to go to school, to go to work. They don't feel comfortable with themselves. And I've seen in the picture 1 in 5 people experience mental health throughout their life. It is a very common thing that a lot of people go through. And I've seen it doesn't matter where you come from, where you come from, it does not matter. You could be affected by this in any way, shape, or form. So who exactly is being affected by mental health? Adults from the age of 25 to young teens at the age of 14 can be affected by mental health. I decided to put this in because here, 25, you are already going through life, you have a job, you have maybe some individuals have kids. That's a bigger responsibility, and I feel like they could be affected much more. But my study was not focused on adults, it was focused on students. And 1 in 10 children live with a serious mental health or emotional disorder, according to National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is an organization, and they have their own website that people do research on, to help others, to help their kids, anything. And young teens and children are being impacted more. And I say that young teens are being impacted more because they have schoolwork to deal with. That's very stressful sometimes. We have AP classes to deal with. We have rigorous courses like doing enrollment, like myself. It's very hard for me sometimes. I try to keep my grades up. I have a job, but it's hard sometimes, and that's one of the main topics why I chose this topic. So what is being done? In other words, tackling the issue. Okay, so providing school counseling is being done. But me, myself, personally, I believe that it's not very, we know what I mean. Students know it's there. But I feel like if we ask a teacher, let's say I'm in an AP class. It's a very important class. And if I ask my teacher to go, I need to talk to my counselor, I feel like I need someone to talk to. I'm like, I feel like sometimes some teachers don't understand and they'll say, no, my class is more important. I feel like your mental well-being of your students is a lot more important than your class. Within my literature has been seen that nurses are becoming the first line of defense because there's not a lot of school counselors. In my school, there's only one. I feel like if I go to the office and I ask to see her, they're gonna be like, oh, she's not here. And I feel like that's very unfair to us. So within my literature, Rosenfield said this in her study. On an average, there's at least one school counselor, like I said. In my school, at least there's one school counselor, but it also depends on the population of the school. And my school is big, but I know there's a lot more bigger schools in my district. And I know that they possibly only have one trusted counselor too. Different types of experiments have been done, like screen blood testing to see how mental health is affected, and this was said by Tannenbaum, and I thought this was a very like a different study because within my articles I didn't really focus on seeing experiments that are being done to help mental illnesses, but I found this one to be very interesting because wow, you can see this through blood. That's very interesting to me. And I also saw that not enough evidence is being seen by scientists to really understand what mental illness is and what is the main cause of it. And I found that to be very interesting too because really mental illness is a big illness, especially in America. And I find it very odd that scientists say that, they don't know what's the cause, or there's just not enough research done. And I feel like that's it's so assumptions. Students are not receiving the sufficient amount of school counseling they need. I say this because, like I stated before, there's only one counselor. What if there's a lot of kids all at once that really need to talk? I don't really think that kids in elementary school really understand. I feel like it's more like when they develop, maybe in middle school, I feel like they should really need more than one school counselor. Mental illness issues can affect the way students perform academically, which I feel like is a very big factor because I myself, if I feel down, I know I'm not gonna do my best in school. If I have a test, if I have an issue going on, I know I'm gonna have that throughout my head the whole day. And I really feel like that's a big factor. And some adults don't think mental illness is a serious problem. So I come from a Hispanic household, and I know, like, if I tell one of my family members that I feel down, I know they're gonna be there to talk to me. But I feel like some parents really just brush it off and be like, "Oh, you'll be okay tomorrow," which is not okay with that. And that's why I feel like we really do need a trusted adult in school in order to talk to them. Okay, so my methods were metasynthesis and narrative research, which both are qualitative data, because my results did not come from numbers. And the instruments I used were the sources, the key points in my articles, and I mainly tried to summarize the findings in my articles to get my data. And a metasynthesis looks at a question. So my question was based on mental health. So I researched my articles on mental health. So that's what it does. You research on the topic and then gain knowledge and insight from the qualitative data within the articles. So all the insight I found, I implemented that to my data. And narrative research does the same thing, but it's just really they're the same thing. So I focus on articles on prior research that has been done on mental health. So my results came from my research that I had done in prior times. I compared the different literature that was demonstrated from different perspectives. So I found articles on personal attributes, the experiments like the blood test one. I found organizations. I got data from there too, and mental health perception is not looked very closely at, as I seen throughout my articles. It's just, I feel like it's a really big factor that's being brushed off today, and I don't think that's okay. So the results and social impacts were that socially, I mean that students do not feel okay talking to, they don't have somebody to talk to. Basically, they don't feel comfortable talking to if they don't feel comfortable talking to individuals at home or adults at home or family members, I feel like they go to school and they don't know enough about their school counseling, because like it's not really mainly talked about, because I feel like some kids are embarrassed, some don't know how to go throughout problems and stuff like that. And mental disorders like depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorders cause students not want to interact with other students. But I've seen throughout my school, my personal own school, that there's been signs put up, and they have hotlines to call, like 1-800 and stuff like that, if you're dealing with depression or anything like that. And I feel like that's a very good idea, and I feel like that should be seen more. So my limitations were that I gathered my data from sources. So a real big limitation in my study was that I did not have personal connections to other students. Like I could have had if I done a different method, like going about my methods differently. I had limited access to how students actually feel mentally. So my conclusion is, what have I learned throughout my research? I have learned that there's not enough being done to students to help them mentally. How do I believe my study will help other students? I believe that this will help other students because I feel like if they have somebody that talks to them about how they really do have somebody there in school that they can talk to if they have any issues, I feel like that will like open their minds to talk to somebody. And I personally believe that the mental health of students is not improving, because like I just don't think it's improving, because they have a lot of schoolwork to deal with. I feel like teachers don't really care. Like I feel like they don't really think of how their students are feeling inside and they leave a lot of work. Like I said, a lot of them have jobs, a lot of them have their own personal issues to deal with at home. And I just feel like, you know, like it's a really, mental illness is an issue that should be really talked about. And I feel like these organizations out there are doing a good job with trying to advocate for these type of students and individuals that are going through these type of issues.